Okay, my burning crypto question of the day. What gives crypto value? Like how does it even to me it has like there's no meaning to it at all. As there's nothing physical, etc. You're not buying into a company. So how is crypto even valuable?
Fantastic question, Robin. Welcome to the Kirk and Robin Show. Relatable crypto conversations and 21-minute chunks. So, actually, what I would say is I would just rephrase that to start with and say, how does Bitcoin have value?
Okay.
Okay. I
All right, we'll
mean,
start with that one. Yeah,
Bitcoin is
sure.
crypto, but let's just say Bitcoin
Yep.
because that's where I think people get tangled up. It's actually one of my favorite questions, maybe my top five favorite questions of all time,
Okay.
as far as blocker type questions and where people get stopped.
Hmm.
It just really amazes me. I mean, I'm talking about like very intelligent people, very highly educated, very intelligent, very successful people, get tangled up on that. It's like, I just don't get it. It's like, okay, well, my money has value, my greenbacks, my US dollar, my euros. Think about it from a
Which is
physical,
all kind of made up anyway. We just right. I mean, it's
well,
kind of
it is made up.
arbitrary
It is
value
made
for
up.
things, right? Yeah.
So, let's just think about it from actually having like picture yourself with like physical bills in your pocket. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
whether it's yen or euros, any physical bill, just pick your country, pick your fiat currency like that. Okay.
Okay.
I think about it from that perspective. So yeah, how does that have value? That's the question.
Somebody says.
That's actually that is the that's actually that's funny you said that because actually that's exactly what fiat is actually Latin. Essentially, my interpretation of it is because I said so. That's what it is because somebody says. That's funny you said that. So that's really what it is. It's just like, okay, it's being printed, but see, that's the paradigm, and that's the only paradigm anybody's ever known from
Yeah.
since they were a little kid and
Yeah.
they've grown up and they've seen their parents and their grandparents and
Or
everybody in
gold. You see,
society.
gold is physical. Like it's something physical that has.
Right. There's a whole narrative around gold. We got 5 to 10,000 years of civilizations being enamored by gold, and so that's the only thing anybody's ever known is growing up with these dollar bills. Again, pick your country, right? Pick your central bank,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
it. So everybody's just assumed and thinks, oh, that has value. That's the thing. That's the primary thing that has value, and I have to judge everything else. But this thing has it doesn't require any judgment. I don't need to ask any questions about it. Everything else, however, I do. All right.
Hmm. Okay.
So,
All right. Well, who says it has value then?
well, it's kind of like I think it's kind of an unspoken
Like
thing.
a
It's like
collective, we say.
I think so. It's a little bit collective, but it's kind of
Huh.
like, well, our fine central government that has 24-hour printing presses and just prints, nonstop. And anytime you need more money, you just print more money. So, you know, do you think that's a way to create value where there's no actual controls on just creating? That's basically how we solve problems. By the way, print more money, create more debt, and just play all kinds of financial games, in between
Hmm.
countries.
So is it okay? Well, how about I don't know if this is a good correlation or not, but like diamonds, like there's a scarcity aspect to it. So is that some of what's at play with crypto because you can only mine so much Bitcoin? Is the scarcity aspect of it what makes the value increase?
Ah, great question. I love it. I'm so glad that you brought
I
up
feel so I
diamonds.
feel so smart.
Yeah, you're nailing it today. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up diamonds. I've forgotten about diamonds.
Of course, now you can manufacture those like they're
Well,
doing that in the
you do
lab.
have
So
synthetic
yeah,
diamonds.
yeah.
However, yes, when you talked about the scarcity of diamonds, but if you want to unpack the scarcity of diamonds, what scarcity of diamonds points back to one thing, and that is clever marketing, because
Huh.
diamonds have been historically controlled by a cartel, the De Beers
Uh huh.
cartel. And if the De Beers is the cartel or one of the players, but nonetheless, it's basically a cartel, kind of like oil cartels
Uh huh.
controlling the
Okay.
price of oil.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the price of diamonds is actually controlled through artificial scarcity and clever marketing. They're not necessarily rare. So we all think a diamond is forever,
Interesting.
a girl's best friend, all that type of stuff. See, so again, the perceived value has been from the spin doctoring, right?
Oh, I like it. I like it.
So you
Hmm.
really think about this is where you really have to
Oh,
take a
I totally fell for it. Look.
oh, there you go. So you have to go back to really dive into economics here. Like that's what happened to me. I studied economics and went into business school. I guess it wasn't in high school. I didn't study economics, but definitely in business school. And then further, when I got into crypto, I wrote my first book, The Ultimate Bitcoin Business Guide, which is actually behind your head there, the
Yes,
orange book.
I've read it.
And so that's where I said, you know what? To understand something is to understand its opposite. That's Stephen Covey,
Okay.
101, right?
Okay.
So let's dive into economics and let's start from the beginning and like understand this thing. So in Wall Street economics, you talk about like the mutual coincidence of wants, right? You think about just roll the clock back several centuries.
Did you say the mutual coincidence of wants?
Correct.
Okay.
Mutual coincidence of wants.
I'm
okay.
not familiar with that.
So this
all.
is
Yeah.
this is in the time of barter. So roll the clock
Okay.
back hundreds, maybe thousands of years. Just picture yourself in that time. We don't really have, coins really haven't developed yet. Certainly paper bills haven't developed yet. But how are two parties going to trade? Whether it's within a culture or a society or between two different, say, whatever it would be called at the time, clans, empires,
Okay.
whatever it
All
is.
right.
How did people trade that way, internally and also externally with other empires and stuff like that? How would you trade? Well, it depends what's valuable at the time, because actually salt at once upon a time was
Or
actually
spices or
yeah,
whatever.
spices, exactly.
Okay.
Myrrh, I guess. And so
Yeah.
that's some of that stuff at a particular point in time in the history, right? Was considered to be highly valuable.
Yes.
So why salt? Why do you think salt was valuable?
They didn't. I mean, where they didn't have it where they were from, I guess. So
well,
there was
that's
scarcity.
yes.
Or
Well, that's always the
perceived
case.
scarcity, right?
Anytime somebody wants something, typically yes, because you don't have it. But what was salt used for? During a time when it would have been perceived as highly valuable, one of maybe say a top 5 valuable type of commodity.
I'm feeling particularly dumb because
okay.
I thought I was like, I don't know, sprinkle it on your food.
Did you have electricity in those times?
Well, obviously not.
So
not like we know it.
Okay,
anyway.
so if we had it means no electricity means no refrigerators, right?
Oh.
How do you preserve what was salt used for?
I didn't know that. That's
So,
how it was used for refrigeration of.
The same way we use it today, curing
for
meat.
like curing meat. Yeah.
Curing meat.
Okay.
That's how you dry out the meat and you take out
Yes.
the moisture, and that
Yes.
preserves
Yes.
it, right?
Okay. Now I got
So
you.
there you go.
I'm tracking you.
That's why salt was valuable.
Okay.
Clamshells, once upon a time, were valuable, and so those were used for trade. So anyway, the mutual coincidence of wants would be what are the chances that I have baskets and you have tomatoes, right? I have baskets, you have tomatoes, but I want tomatoes and you need baskets.
Yes.
That at any point in time, we randomly two people that have two things that they also need the other thing that the other person have. That's going to happen. That's going to be extremely rare. It's going to happen less than 1% of the time. Mm. So how do you solve the mutual coincidence of wants is where you have a common medium of exchange, which is where salt and clamshells and other types of things come into play, because they were considered valuable, abundant for, and abundant. Well, I guess they could have been scarce, but abundant for the party that sources it, and then they're able to sell it to the other party who needs it.
Okay.
But because it's valuable, everybody says, "Wow, we can." I have salt. We all need salt because we all need to eat, and we all need to preserve the food to eat. Otherwise, it would spoil. So that becomes a commonality. You see?
Yeah.
So you solve that mutual coincidence, and then you can just say, "All right, well, you have tomatoes, I have salt. We'll trade that." And then I go to I buy the tomatoes, but you don't need the baskets. So I go out to the market and I got my little stand up and I'm selling my baskets. And so I accept salt. I sell my baskets for salt. Right? All right. Then eventually roll the clock forward, it morphs, and then we turn into from those, from the commodities we, go into coins, making coins and eventually paper bills, and that becomes a medium of exchange. You got it. So that's the common thing to exchange. So anyway,
you're bringing this all back to crypto somehow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually the evolution. Come on back. It's actually,
I got it. Go
ahead. It's the evolution of money is really what it is.
Okay.
It's started with even still barter. See, the thing about all these forms of money, and then you got coins, paper. While we're on it, coins, paper bills, credit cards, and now crypto.
Sure.
Right, on public blockchains, this is the evolution of money, and none of these things have actually become obsolete. I mean, even Roman coins and old coins like that. Now, they're not necessarily used in exchange, but they have numismatic value, meaning trade or collectors collect them. Credit cards, that technology is obsolete, but we still use it. As a matter of fact, it's a rail that rides on top of crypto. That's how you get mass adoptions, because you just say, okay, cool. Well, there's a lot of projects that are creating credit cards. They can spend your crypto because you're using a common thing that all the merchants have. You don't have to get somebody to just eliminate everything and start all over with new stuff.
Right.
You continue
Something
using
we
what
can
you use.
grasp onto.
Nothing. So even paper bills, coins. I mean, what's interesting because nothing has actually become fully obsolete. We still use all these things today,
Mm. Okay.
right? So anyway, again, what has value? And again, this is after studying and studying and studying, writing the book I just mentioned, the first book, talking to people, being in this space, and really deep diving into economics about how do things have value. And what it comes back to for me is one dirt simple thing.
Okay.
Super, super.
I'm on the edge of my
I
seat.
thought you maybe you'd
Like,
nail it. I'd be like, oh, I
no,
got
no,
it.
no. I'm still thinking about salt and trading
Okay.
tomatoes. But anyway, keep going.
Well, before we do the big reveal, why do you think? Because I think gold is a thing that people are enamored by, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's just like it has a sheen. It doesn't oxidize. It's malleable. It's beautiful, right?
And it's physical. It's
It's
tangible.
physical. It's
Yeah.
like it's rare, especially in the centuries ago and millennia ago when you didn't have big heavy equipment where you could go mine this stuff and rip
Mm,
up the earth.
sure.
So it was probably extremely rare to accumulate.
Yeah.
So why do you think gold has value?
Uh,
Why does gold have value? In
because
your mind, what would you say?
well, again, somebody. Well, okay. Scarcity combined with somebody says.
Well, yes, I say you
That's
could
my
say
best
that. Yeah,
guess.
okay. Yeah, somebody says I'm saying that is more like it's more from a coercive type of thing.
Well, maybe.
I
I
say
mean,
it has value, so you have to agree
well,
that it has
okay.
value, right?
Rulers, and
Yeah.
rulers and kings and so forth. I mean, that's where I
So
think that
what I
value
say it
that
boils
comes
down to,
from.
yeah. So what I say it boils down. So when I'm talking about when as far as like fiat because I said so, it's kind of like the government, the old it's kind of like the old like the metaphor where hold a gun to your head type of thing. It has value because I say it does.
Okay.
You better do this because I say so. It's kind
What
of like
what what I what
coming
do
from
you
that
say? What
perspective.
do you say it has value for? What I
it's
mean,
it's
why?
one super simple thing,
Okay. Okay.
and
Here we
here's the
go.
thing:
Back to the answer.
the
What
rule
is it?
applies to everything. You name the thing, and you want to know what the thing is. It has value. The desk, your phone, anything. It has value because people agree that it has value. That's
Yes.
it.
Okay. Well, that's my version
It's
of
that
like
simple.
somebody says. So I got you.
Now that's distinctly
You're
different, though. It's
oh,
distinctly
okay. All
different.
right. People agree that it does. Got it. Okay.
It might seem like it's the same, but I
Well,
see it
there
as
is. I
very,
see how
very
the
different.
nuance would be because with crypto, people agree that it does, but not everybody agrees that it does.
So you have
but I'm
markets.
getting it.
So you have there's markets. Now some things are formal markets. So then you have liquid markets like stocks, security stocks and bonds or securities. So you have liquid markets, right? Where you can trade at any given time you want to sell essentially. Although those markets don't operate 24/7, but crypto does. Sun
Yes.
never sets on crypto.
Yes.
But in TradFi, essentially, if you need to sell something, you can liquidate. Now you might liquidate it at a loss, but at least you can sell it because you need
Mm,
cash and you need to liquidate right away,
mm.
right? So, but there's always those markets that exist. So if there's more buyers than sellers, well, then there means there's more demand. The price is going to go up. More sellers than buyers, and price is going to go down. So it's really and so that's what it comes down to is people agreeing, and then the more people that you have that agree that it has value, it's like it goes back to the network effect that we talked about
Mm.
before, you know, and so the more people you have join a network, the more valuable it becomes. The more people that agree on something that has value, the more valuable it becomes.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. I don't
Mm.
understand why people get hung up on. I don't understand this intangible thing, this Bitcoin thing. Like, why does it have value? But again, that's where it comes back to education. You
Yeah.
got to understand, and to understand all of crypto is to understand Bitcoin first. Put your stake in the sand. You got to understand the parameters of Bitcoin, and it is challenging to wrap your head around. Sometimes you got to do it in little chunks, understand a little bit. You can't like I said, just to try for me trying to understand Bitcoin mining. It took me like 9 months,
Mm.
right, to
Okay.
understand that to
Okay.
sufficiently to where I was satisfied, right.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
still keep learning. The learning
Oh.
doesn't stop. So
I have a follow up question to something you said, and I think you're going to love it because it'll get your juices flowing. And it has to do with crypto being like I remember you wrote about this in your book. It was like the first time, the first evolution of exchange in like thousands of years or all time or whatever. So maybe say something about that, right? Because that's something that people either they can feel threatened by it or they can feel like, oh my God, that is pretty amazing. Like we haven't had any kind of evolution of exchange. And
Oh, I think what you're getting to is having no intermediary is what you mean. Is that what
maybe,
you mean?
maybe, but like you said, it's like transforming, I don't know, accounting and finance in a way that hasn't been touched in, you know, thousands of years. So,
Okay. Well, first of all, is that clear on why something has? By the way, I still think people are still going to walk away. It's like, oh wow, that's too. It's almost like it's too simple. It's like I don't
mhm.
know. I don't get it. That's too simple for me, right? I still don't get it. I still can still see people saying well, I still don't get it, right?
Well, I mean,
So
what was your hang up? Like when you started studying crypto and you being very skeptical person anyway, right? And coming at it from a finance professional perspective, what were your I mean in this conversation, where were you skeptical? And like, because I'm sure people would be able to relate to that. And then there was some aha moment where you're like, okay, I get it. This is really awesome.
all right. Well, first of all, I don't. That's a great question. First of all, I don't know any Bitcoiner that wasn't skeptical. You should be skeptical. You should
Yeah.
be skeptical. You should actually doubt everything, trust no one, be skeptical of everything all the time until you get sufficiently, satisfied with your inquiry. That's how it should go. You
Yeah.
shouldn't just automatically assume and because you hear something sweet, I got instant buy-in right away. I won't ask a single question.
Right, right,
You
right,
should be
right.
skeptical.
Yes.
The question is, how long were they skeptical?
Yeah.
Was it a day, a week, a
Right.
month?
Mm-hmm.
And because whenever you hear somebody, I'm talking about OG Bitcoiners and OG crypto people, and you hear their origin story, and you'll always hear that they were skeptical. At some point, I dove in, I studied it round the clock for 30 days, and then I was all in. I mean,
Mm.
that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was ever so much. I guess I had some degree of skepticism,
You were
but it was like
curious.
I need to dive in. I got to like research and understand it. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always doing that first with anything, digest it. So I think it was more for me, more of a digesting period.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like hyper skepticism. Although the first time I heard about it, which you know how I got into Bitcoin,
Yes, I did.
so
Yes.
I was highly skeptical upon first,
Yeah.
you know,
Especially since
first
you didn't
inquiry.
think of it first. Well, yeah. What kinds of things did you encounter where you were just kind of like, you know, I know there was a moment for you where you were like, it was an epiphanous moment, probably of some sort, where you're just like, this is amazing as a
Yes,
way of exchange, right?
that's right. Yeah, it actually didn't take me long. I'd say somewhere in the first 2 weeks to 30 days in the
Okay.
digestion period that,
Okay.
and I was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. I'm all in. I mean, I
Okay.
am long. And
Okay.
again, that's what we talked about before. It
Yeah.
comes down to conviction. The deeper you understand something, the more conviction you have, the better of investing outcome that you will have in the long term.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The deeper
Yeah.
the understanding, the deeper the conviction,
Yeah.
better the result will be. That's your number one thing
And that's
is
all
simply
founded on
that.
education,
It's all
right?
founded on education and
Yeah.
understanding it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, it was
Yeah.
like, this is freaking amazing. That's why every day I think about it, I see Bitcoin in a new way every single day.
Right.
It's
Right.
more beautiful than the day before. That's been going on for like 11 years now. So basically,
Mhm.
one of the big things is, so let's go back to the clamshells and the baskets and tomatoes and the salt,
Absolutely.
right? So in those days, that was a peer-to-peer transaction. Think about the marketplace, or you're strolling along. There's the market, and we still have marketplaces today like that, flea markets and
Yeah.
actual markets like that,
Right.
right? Farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
That's peer-to-peer types. That's peer-to-peer stuff.
Okay.
So we trade we trade the goods and we trade the whatever the thing you traded for, the salt or whatever. Now it's money, but still it's peer-to-peer. Like cash is peer-to-peer
Right.
essentially. But to exchange electronically in a more like sophisticated way, we needed so-called trusted intermediaries that actually you can't trust. So
Oh,
that's the problem.
totally.
That's the problem with intermediaries. 2008.
Yeah.
Just remember, 2008.
Yeah.
You cannot trust
Mm.
the traditional finance. Why? Because if something can be usurped, if there's no controls, human nature will override the controls. That's how it works.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how fraud works.
Yeah.
So basically, trusted intermediaries fails from the beginning. It has an inherent flaw. Why? Because you have humans involved.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about the technology and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work. So you have to have a trust. So that's the thing that could not be solved for centuries,
Okay.
or like
Okay.
centuries
Now we're getting
since we
there.
had, let's call it, since we had this type of
Intermediaries.
money and electronic money.
Yeah.
However long that
Yeah.
is. I don't know what it is. Say it's 100 years or
Mm.
whatever. But the point is, we couldn't figure out how do you eliminate the intermediary, still have a resilient system where we exchange electronically. That's what Satoshi's brilliance is, to figure out how to take essentially off the shelf components, put it all together in this resilient, such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Whew.
I knew it would get your juices going.
Oh,
I know.
my
Look,
God.
he's moved to tears.
Oh, I practically, I am. Oh, it's so brilliant. You got to go read the white paper. Ah, so
Yeah.
anyway, so that's what Satoshi figured out, how to remove the intermediary, and you're able to have. Actually, the thing is, talk about untrusted. You can actually have untrusted party. You don't even have to know who the other party is, and have a system and a network that's so resilient that is, proven it's proven so, for the past 16 years now.
Mhm.
So we're in our last Satoshi minute where we got to wind it up. So that's
Yes.
it. That's really what that was, the big breakthrough. Of course, we could dive into other great,
Oh yeah.
wonderful, juicy things about it, but that's really what it is: removing the trusted intermediary, or the intermediary, the untrusted, the intermediary that you can't trust.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now we can operate on peer to peer. It's so brilliant. And again, that's why I'm long on
And
Bitcoin.
everybody agrees that it has value, and that's why it
That's
has
why
value.
we've gone to, in just 16 years, we've gone to no value to, 10,000 Bitcoin pizza to $300 to $95,000 today.
Amazing.
Thank you, Satoshi. I love you, Satoshi. Thank you.
And thank you. This was really enlightening.
All right, then. Well, until next time, Robin.
Thank you. See ya.